Welcome back, everyone. New School Sensei. I'm your host, Lance Douglas. We have Ken, the small business king.
Hey,
He's going to be in today. So we are talking a little bit about small business. So topic today, how do you run martial arts as a career and how do you actually start a martial arts school, particularly in today's day and age? Now, Ken, so this is a great topic because we know, particularly here in Australia, you got the cost of living is going up, interest rates, just everything is just it's a bit harder. Back in the day, maybe you can talk about how did we like start our martial art club because it was a lot easier 10 years ago.
oh, definitely. First, I just want to say this isn't financial advice at all. Sorry, this light is we've been recording a few potties and I've been like running away from the light.
It looks
So
good, like it's like a lightsaber.
so if I keep turning, it's because I'm trying to run away from this light. You can see a bit more of the room. So yeah, I just want to say this isn't financial advice at all. This is just from our experience. If you're
Just two
taking
brothers having a talk.
Mate, twins having a talk. If you're taking financial advice from a podcast, you probably need to look a little bit deeper into yourself and the sort of information that you're trying to take in. So I think it's a good way to start is like our background in the martial arts, but more so in terms of running a gym and that business side. So the way we started karate when we were 4 years old, yeah. So 1994, 1995, all that sort of good stuff. We had the opportunity in 2011. We were part of a bigger affiliation that we were part of for a long time. And one of the affiliates, the instructor, got poked in the eye during training. So the email was sent around across to all the black belts and all that. This guy can't run it anymore. We need someone else to take over the club. So our mum, Lay, an OG in the industry, she said, "Yeah, cool. Um, more than happy to take up the challenge. The boys will be running it."
It wasn't her, it was me. I took up the challenge.
Was it? I can't even remember, to be
It was
honest, but
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we started off by
It was me and
taking over.
Akim.
Yeah, Arkiv. I'd love to
That's
get
how
him on
long
the mats full
ago. You've
time.
forgotten, Ken. Forgotten the origin story.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So that's how we started by taking over someone's club, but obviously it was super small. There would have been probably 20, 30 students, and essentially all of the higher ranks left, and we pretty much started from scratch. But I guess we had the framework there. We had the like being part of the affiliation. You got the website, all the processes, the systems, the advice from other people. So that's how we started. And then we built it. We started at a church, we did a second satellite club. I guess, yeah, we went to a gymnasium, at a school, another gymnasium. We had three locations that we were running. And then that was in 2011. Then we consolidated that into our full time space now, the big warehouse, in 2014. So yeah, so we have the one full time location, Newport, that now is a beast. It's upstairs, downstairs, 2 classes at a time, 7 days a week, all that. And then we've got the 3 satellite clubs currently. So we have Parkville, which is my baby across the road that I run on a Tuesday, which is pretty cool. We have Tarneet, which is a once a week satellite club, and then we have Truganina twice a week. So for me and Lance, it started grassroots. It started as a side hustle. We worked this on the side, and then once we got it big enough, then we quit the full-time jobs, and then we went all in on the martial arts. We got the warehouse and went all in. So that's the way that we've done it at Twins. I guess to elaborate more, once we went all in, we went independent as well. So once we went all in, we lost all of our higher ranked students again, and we'd have to start again, but we lost that really big base of brown belts and black belts all gone. And then we just had to build it. And then we sort of went through the path of going and seeking mentors. So looking at your business coaches, because we were independent, like we didn't have, like a big affiliation behind us. We can ask all the other guys. And pretty much the other guys that were part of the big affiliation, they weren't doing it full time. I don't think anyone was really doing it. They were all still doing it part time. They had the big club, they had the warehouse, but they still had their day jobs. So we sought help. Our first business mentor was Fred De Palma in the States. He was brilliant. A lot of the basics, the fundamentals. I sort of wish we started with him from day dot. And then we had Paul Veldman, one of the nicest guys in the industry, one of the OGs. If anyone needs martial arts business mentoring, he's your guy. Then we sort of went with the team of boys in Western Australia, Phil Britton and Graham McDonald. I think that's his name. And then I believe we went back to Paul Veldman, yeah. And then now we've sort of just we don't have any like organized mentorship as such, but we have a lot of friends around the industry that we can talk to, and that we bring on the podcast and all that sort of stuff. So that's our journey so far, as Lance knows. So the viewers and listeners know that.
Yeah, and one clarification, yeah. So Kenny quit he had a very good engineering job. So was it 3 years or 4 years engineering degree? I can't remember.
I was an engineer for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cool story in itself. So I was an engineer by day and then teaching karate by night, birthday parties on the weekend. So I was chock-a-block. You could only do that when you're 21. Yeah. I was doing a lot of site work because I was in the mining industry. I was in the coal seam gas mining industry. That wasn't by choice, guys. That's just how the hands were dealt for me. When you're 21, 22, you can't really pick and choose. You know what I mean? So yes, that involved a lot
Different
of.
time back then, yeah, Ken.
It's a different time back then. But at least from my side, the mob that I was working with was an environmental engineering consultancy. So we were trying to clean things up, trying to minimize the impact on the land. You know what I mean? But that site work, I was on 15 days out on site in Queensland. I was in a donga. That's slang. I don't know why they call them dongas. It's just a little granny flat. Actually, you wouldn't even call it granny flat. There's no toilet or kitchenette or kitchen in there. It's just a little caravan almost.
Like a cabin.
A cabin, essentially. 300 dudes on site. You're doing 12 hours on site, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then fun and games afterwards. And this was pre Netflix, pre-internet on the phone. So I was reading 3 books. I was reading 2 fiction, 1 non-fiction every 15 days. So I was doing 15 days on in the mines, coal seam gas. Well, not really. It's not like underground mines. It was coal seam gas. And then, back in the office, that was my background. So I was trying to, yeah, that was hard
You're
yakka.
working full time, but it seemed like you'd always pick up the call when we had to talk business.
Mate, I was very good at time management. I feel like I was a very good engineer, bro. I gave 110% to the company, gave them everything I could. And I gave Twins Martial Arts everything I could too. But I guess back then, you're young, you got a lot of energy. I didn't have kids, didn't have a wife, so you could give 200% almost.
I feel like if you're between the ages of 18 and 25, maybe 18 and 30, if you got no wife, no kids, you can do 2 full-time jobs.
100%. No excuses.
Yes, you can't really have too much of a social life, so you got to balance it out. But
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, Kenny obviously he had he was on track. It was on the fast track to big engineering career. Gave it up. So essentially, burn the bridges. Well, you didn't burn your bridges. You kind of burn. What the saying is, you burn the boats. So he burnt that boat.
There's no paddling back.
There's no paddling back. I've been a physio. I never actually quit physio. I just reduced my hours. So I still had, martial arts was more full-time and then physio was part-time. So that's the difference. Ken's always been, he started full-time engineer, then full-time martial arts. I was, full-time physio, then went down to part-time physio and then full-time martial art coach. So it's different time back then. And I think the other thing which helped us really grow was Facebook was just starting And if the guys who don't know, back then it was very, very cheap for Facebook marketing.
Yeah,
And Ken took full advantage.
that was a golden age of marketing. I think even in terms of before we got into Facebook, when we first started, it was a lot of flyer drops. This was back when the kinders would let you put the flyers right in their pigeonholes. All the schools were on board. But now it's sort of, I think people are a bit more mindful now. They don't want the kids getting advertised too. So there's a few more loops and a few more hoops we have to jump through in terms of marketing. Yeah, even Facebook's more expensive now. A lot more people are on Facebook. A lot less people are using Facebook. So it's a
Yeah.
different time.
Even getting into the schools back then, we were paid to do after school care programs. So the school would pay us for an hour. I remember it was what, $75 for an hour, which is pretty good back then. And so me and Ken, like, we would do 3-4 days and go to all different schools. And yeah, we knew pretty much all the kids in the area. Whereas they got rid of that initiative, so there is no after school martial arts that's paid by the government.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. Don't want to. We'll give the guys some new guys tips, but just being honest, it was a lot easier back in the day. A lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Ken.
if we
Yeah,
get into the nuts of the bolts of this potty, so I know we've had some people that have asked us, how would you start a martial arts club like in this day and age? Sorry guys, I've just got this light in my eye, but I'm just gonna run with it.
what if you go back the other way? Go back to where you started.
I was getting a sore back, to be honest. I'm
True.
getting a sore back moving around. Just gonna keep it straight, you know. So starting a martial arts club in this day and age depends on the martial art as well, to be honest. Depends on the person too. So let's just narrow it down. Let's just say this person's got a traditional martial arts background, whether it's karate or taekwondo. Yeah. So how would you start a club? If you're a karate black belt, been training a long time, Lance.
You just put the question back on me. To be frank, I wouldn't start in this day and age. But if if you if you don't have any dependents, you got a lot of energy, if you got a bit of money behind you as well, that can help. If you got, savings or a trust fund or a high paying job behind you, that can help. Just a bit of security. So I'd either start two ways. If I had a lot of money behind me, then I would just go bang, open a warehouse, and then I would just pump as much money into marketing, and I would just have a big buffer. I would have like a year of savings, so I could survive a year, and I just give myself 1 year, just go bang. If I didn't have the buffers, maybe if I've got a wife, I've got kids, I would probably have to start small, part time. So I'd go in a part time facility. That would be, a church, hall, community center. And then I would grow it a little bit. So try to get to 10 to 20, 30, 40 students, and then move into a warehouse.
Is that it? Only that many?
Having said that, though, it is this day and age is hard. We even had like one of the guys down the road, he had to close down. So, yeah. Did you hear about that, Ken?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, actually, you told me, yeah.
Yeah. I guess flipping the question to me, the way I would start it, I'd make sure I'm part of a big affiliation because having that support, like you've got all the lesson plans done, you got people you can talk to, gradings, uniforms, insurance, it's all covered. The website's all covered. So I'd make sure you're part of an affiliation. I would, as Lance said, I'd start grassroots first. Have part time. Start at part time. Do it like as a side hustle. Do it on a Saturday. Max that out. Then maybe do a day during the week. Maybe a Tuesday. Then do a Thursday. So you got three days during the week. And then if you really want to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday. That's 4 days a week. I would just grow it to 100 students or so. I'd start at
You grow up to
grassroots.
100.
Yeah, I'd have,
That's
well, you
all
got
moving
four,
to
you got 4 days a
yeah.
week. Surely you got 100 students. I
Yeah.
would do it grassroots. It's because grassroots, you're just paying for the halls. It's just hourly fee, basic equipment, nothing special. I would also get a business mentor from the get go. So it is a bit of a cost, but I would view that as an investment. So you get a martial arts specific mentor because they're up to date with all the latest marketing, all the trends, all the legal stuff, everything. So you've got them in your back pocket. You need it. That's something that If I was giving myself advice, I would have done that. Get the mentor from day dot. And then working with the mentor, then I would go full. I would get the lease on the warehouse once you've reached a certain number of students. I would move to the warehouse when I can replace my income from my full time job, or at least if I can replace my income where I'm happy to live off with my current student base, then I would move on to the full time center. So if you get paid 100K, if you can bring 100K in from your side hustle, okay, from teaching, then I would go full time. But just say you're young, you only need 50K, maybe getting 100K working 9 to 5. But if you only need 50K, that could be 50 students. Then you might move in. Then you got to factor in the lease. The lease is going to cost 30K a year. You know what I mean? So just say if the lease is 30K a year, you might need 80
More
students.
than
If each,
30K, mate.
yeah, that's true.
Least is
That's
at
true.
least 50, 60. Could be up to 100.
And then very important, I would be utilizing my martial arts business mentor when I'm moving into the full-time space. And then I'd just be taking their advice because they've seen it, they've done it, and they can give you all the latest trends, all the marketing. They know what's happening in the industry. Something I would also do from day dot is attend all the martial arts conferences that I can. So if you're in Australia, you got the Empower Summits, you got Paul Veldman's MABs. I think you got George Faree's got his stuff too. I'd be all over it. You learn so much. You get a lot of inspiration. And it's good to just keep your pulse on the industry, what's working in the marketing, lesson planning, trends, all that sort of stuff. So boil it down to three things. Start small, start part-time facilities. Get the mentor from day one. You got to pay him, it's an investment. And then attend the martial arts conferences. You do those three things, I don't see why you can't be similar to me and Lance.
I'm a bit more skeptical, to be honest. If you could do those three things and still fail, I think nowadays it's more of a gamble. And if you want to reduce the risk, you're going to have to put in the time.
Mhm.
So, how about if I flip the question? How would you do it, Ken, knowing you got a wife and 2 kids?
I
Or
wouldn't
you
do
just
it.
go back to engineering.
I wouldn't do it. I'd only do it.
Well,
Yeah,
what if you had to?
what I had to. Lost my job. Nah, I think being a martial arts coach, being the owner, especially if you're not successful, it's too much of a drain, to be honest. Because like if you're starting off, you got to teach all the classes. So even if your kids are in primary school, you don't see them during primary school hours, and you're not seeing them after school hours.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Flush it
So
and laugh. That's the game.
ideally, if your kids are in primary school, you want other instructors ready to teach, so you can do pickups, all that sort of stuff. So if you already got a wife and kids, I'd say just keep the 9 to 5 job. You got your kids in daycare, get them in primary school so you can see them. Maybe once the kids are older, then you can go for it. I'd say maybe if if you want to keep your experience up, you could potentially teach a couple shifts for your instructor just to get your coaching skills up. So then once you're in a better position, then you can start to look and get a side hustle and all that sort of stuff. It's as a young person's
Mm.
game. Um,
Well, what are your
yeah,
thoughts on, say, the saying, part-time effort, part-time results, full-time effort, full-time results? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Ken? Because
I
for us,
guess.
we essentially were full-time. Like, we had a full-time effort. Like, can you build a successful club with a part-time effort?
Oh. Nah, I don't think so. To be honest, well, it depends. If you're talking, if you've got a big warehouse, a big lease, you've got all your expenses, all that. No, you need full time effort. I'd say.
Because then to counter that, you got a guy like Sammy at Combat One. He was a full-time PE teacher, wife, 2 kids, and he's grown like arguably one of the best MMA facilities. He's moving into that new facility too.
I'm pretty sure he's
So
dropped the teaching though, bro. He's
yeah,
dropped
he's
the
dropped it. Yeah.
he's dropped the PE teaching.
So I guess next time we get him in, we've got to go through that mindset. Like, how did he just keep going? Like, he had like everything against him, and he's able still. He's the 1%, maybe even like 0.5% of people. Like a normal person, if you got that much, especially in today's economy, the lockdowns as well. Didn't talk about all those. to build up a successful business, it's that's amazing.
Yeah, I think in some regard, business can be quite selfish. You got to really focus on your business. It's hard to focus on family, so it's sort of you got to give and take there. Again, this isn't financial advice. See, chat to your financial planner, chat to your accountant, all that sort of stuff. Um, what one more tip that I would give just to close it would be when you are a martial arts business owner, to make it sustainable for you, because sometimes you become a martial arts business owner, it becomes a job. You're tied to it. You got all your expenses. You got your house mortgage, car loans, all that's like you got kids through primary
Company
school,
credit card.
all that sort of stuff. One thing I would advise people as soon as possible, if they can start to invest their money. So obviously seek professional advice, your financial planner, accountant, all that good stuff. But just look up some books, Richest Man in Babylon. Look into what compounding is, compound interest. Look into like all those sort of things, like starting early, timing the market, all that sort of good stuff. You know, you got shares, property, all that sort of
You
stuff.
got crypto too.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, a lot of martial art business owners, they just make money off their business, but you want to be building different sort of side hustles. You know, you got to think about it like it's almost like a table. You got one leg is your martial arts business. Second leg could be rental properties. Third leg could be shares, dividends, and all that. Fourth leg could be commercial property. Maybe you got some commercial property giving you income as well. So you got four legs. So if for whatever reason a lockdown happens, you break your leg or whatever, the martial art business goes, or maybe you don't want to put as much effort into it. You want to have other instructors teaching. You might only have half a leg there, but then you've got three other strong legs. You know, you got your rental properties, you got your shares, you got your commercial property, all that sort of stuff. That's one thing. Start early, educate yourself. Because yeah, with that sort of stuff, you know, the results just compound and compound.
There you go. Yeah, definitely. We're not telling people not to do it. If you have the passion, you've got the resources, and you have a good plan, definitely go for it. I know I still remember when me and you started, Ken, like for us, there was no other thing we wanted to do. There was nothing we wanted more. And particularly if you're young, like if you've got that drive, that can get you a long way.
Nice.
Boom. Let's finish up there, guys. So if you enjoyed that, let us know. If you've got any specific questions, obviously we're not giving any financial advice, but if you want to get more into the nuts and bolts, the biscuits and gravy of, running a martial art club, let us know. And we could potentially, Ken, we could bring in some of our martial art mentors.
Yeah,
Uh,
that'd be
if
sick.
there's interest, we'll see. But anyway, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Us.